Hello and welcome into the Sporting Pod. Along with Tony Allegretti and Mauricio Ruiz, I'm Cole Pepper. Coming up today on the pod, we have a kit supplier. Why Adidas was the perfect fit for Sporting JAX. Some local presence on the U.S. women's national team. And FA Cup quarterfinals with one team from outside the Premier League trying to play the role of Cinderella. We are fed by the Bearded Pig, locally owned and operated, with locations in San Marco and Jax Beach. Hit the San Marco location. Jax Beach location, they're restructuring. So hit that San Marco location. And when you swing by the Bearded Pig for great barbecue and great times. There is the Bearded Pig. And now here is one of the reasons we started this podcast, these many years ago, was to give folks who were interested a little bit of inside information, a little bit of background, a little bit of behind-the-scenes look at what happens with Sporting JAX.
Insider scoop.
Yeah,
that kind
something
of thing.
that you could ordinarily only know about if you were, working within the organization or using the Signal app. So what I want to do here is talk about the Adidas announcement made this week that Adidas will be our kit partner. And it's perfect because Mauricio was sort of there at the beginning with all of this. And it was a long process, Mao. But we got there in the end, and I think it's a perfect situation. And there are a lot of reasons why Adidas really makes sense for Sporting JAX.
Yeah, you're right, Cole. And it speaks a little bit of how tight our organization is, that this was not leaked in any way, shape, or form, because we have had certainly many conversations with multiple apparel providers. You name them, we've had them, from even ones you cannot even name. We want to make sure that we ultimately found who's going to be the best to service not just our first team, but also our community and our integration with Florida Lead and so forth and so on. So for us, it was a lot about quality. A little bit of name recognition, which took some concern and effort into it, but overall quality in the soccer space, and Adidas certainly carries that. When we think about Adidas compared to the other brands, even some of the larger brands, to me, and I think to many soccer people, Adidas is associated with soccer, right? Nike has other associations. I believe Nike came from running, right, and then it obviously became this huge soccer brand as well. And there's many others that we can speak about. But Adidas just has this name brand association with quality in soccer. And then for us, it was a huge component to make sure that we align ourselves with the highest possible contributor that could raise the name of the organization, because it's a new team. So having an alignment with a brand name was important. But we also thought that Adidas could be a great partner in deliverables for us, and how they can make sure that our academy can be a top level academy. Our players could receive a top level product. And from a coaching and from a player development standpoint, Adidas ultimately provides a service and a product that nobody else can match, which is the opportunity for coaching education, alignment with clubs all over the world, and for player opportunities within those clubs. So it's a little bit behind the scenes, and it's not details because it's each situation specific. But coaches within our organization and players within our organization will have access, depending on timing and earned merit, to be accessible and visible by other organizations that wear the same Adidas brand. So that was a huge component for us that nobody else could really match.
I feel like that's a great summary, Mal. It was a really difficult decision, I know, because we were really in it for a long time. Talked to multiple apparel providers. The USL has a relationship. It's not exclusive with Charlie, and there's a lot of emerging brands right now that are doing big things, and so those things that you mentioned kind of put Adidas over the top in that decision. But I know that it took a lot of thought, and it was a really difficult call. Here again, though, I think those intangibles that you're talking about, especially with the training, especially with the support, but if you look at the top football clubs, sort of in the world, especially the brands, a lot of times they're in Adidas.
Well, let me just throw out a couple of those big brands that are Adidas clubs: Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Man U, Liverpool, Juventus. I could go on, but you talk about some of the biggest brands.
All these huge clubs and Liverpool. So yeah, it's amazing, which is a new one, in their repertoire.
Let me add to this, Cole, that part of our process was actually being courted by quite a bit of these large companies. Whether we visited warehouses, we visited headquarters, we visited locations. They came into market to visit with us, and Adidas just had something that was different that they have for a lot of their current members. But they invited us out to what actually is one of their products, one of their tangible products, which is to a coaching education standpoint that I got the opportunity to head over to Manchester last year as part of the already Adidas brand. And I was just being invited in, part of their courting process, I'm sure. But it was impressive that it was an actual deliverable that we can provide our coaches and our administrators an experience with Adidas to learn and to improve your knowledge base. And speaking to other members of that fraternity, it was true in their deliverables and their experience with Adidas that they actually got players to go to many different clubs for the opportunity to showcase their talent and to improve as a coach. So the development part of it and those networks were key. And the other part of it, the Adidas, the quality, that is an add-on, and that's a huge component to it. But it was some real deliverables that they were able to bring to us. That we just, we felt like it was the right partnership.
I should also point out that there are a number of national teams that wear Adidas as well, both on the men's and the women's side. Mal, and I didn't ask you this question.
World Cup champions,
for example. I didn't ask you this in the process, but obviously Adidas has been a big part of the men's game for a long, long time. What kind of benefits are there, or what kind of additional punch does Adidas provide on the women's side?
Well, Adidas knows that they're missing a bit of a mark on the women's side as well. And they're trying to make sure that they integrate themselves with, as you mentioned, they're huge on the men's side. And the women's side seems to be sometimes more of an alignment with Nike. So Adidas knows that's a market that they've missed out on. And they are starting to, and you see some of their ads, and you start seeing with some of their promotions and players that they're bringing on, that they're very much targeting, the she movement, her story. So they know that part of this partnership with us is the fact that we're leading with the women's team first and foremost. That was a huge grab for Adidas as well, because they don't have a huge presence today on the women's game as far as like a stakeholder position. So they for them was they were more attracted to us on that space on the women's side than maybe possibly on the reverse, because they actually couldn't showcase a huge brand presence on the women's side. But once again, we felt like on a good alignment with their priorities that they wanted to be a bigger presence.
The other side of this conversation is on the youth side, Tony, and the first time we will see the Adidas Sporting JAX kit in action will be with the USLW and USL League Two teams, and we will begin seeing over the course of the next several months. The Sporting JAX Soccer Academy will wear that kit as well. So we're going to see a lot of those three stripes around town.
Big time. And because this is sort of insider scoop for our subscribers and folks that listen to us weekly, there will be very soon, watch this space, a chance to celebrate and actually see these kits, pick them up, pick up merch, etc. We're not here to tell you that right now.
Yep.
However, it's coming.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. And big fun. Big, everybody wants to see the kit. You'll be able to see it very soon.
I'm looking forward to that for sure. All right, season tickets are now on sale for the USL Super League 2025-2026 season. They'll be wearing that Adidas kit. Season tickets start as low as $10 per game for students, $12 per game for supporters, and $15 for general admission. There's also reserve, field, and club seating available. Join the movement by securing your 2025-2026 season tickets today and receive a limited edition inaugural season scarf. Be a part of history and herstory. SportingJax.com/tickets or call 904-863-KICK. If you can't remember the numbers, 904-TOE-KICK.
Yes.
To get more information on season tickets. All right, let's talk about the U.S. women's national team now, gentlemen. Emma Hayes has announced the roster for the two friendlies coming up against Brazil in the month of April, and two Jacksonville products are on the roster. Goalkeeper Mandy McGlynn, who was on for the She Believes Cup, and for the first time, Avery Patterson, the former Florida Elite and Bulls standout, went to North Carolina, and now with the Houston Dash of the NWSL, is on that U.S. women's national team roster. I love this. I mean, we saw that we talked to her when she was in camp with the Futures Camp, and she did enough. She's the only woman in that Futures Camp who got the call up this time around.
I've got goosebumps. That interview was so good.
She was great.
Yeah, she was great. And then but so, it's so balanced because she mentioned in there that she would love to one day, play in Jacksonville, right? And that's just, this is like exactly why we're doing it. And so it's so fun. She's so talented. McGlynn is, a starter in Salt Lake. It's like, this is, we've got such a great system here and such a great sort of pond of excellence in women's soccer, and I'm just so pleased for all that, and it's great momentum for us in August. So really, really happy for Emma and her squad, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch local players representing the country in some pretty important matches against a Brazil team who the U.S. has seen quite a bit of lately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when you look at the call up, it's a full roster. So to get, to get Mandy, we know there's this bit of a turnover on the goalkeeper core, and there's some opportunities there. So I think that's key for Mandy to be able to to get that chance. But for Avery, when you're thinking about the fact that the Futures Camp, which has just been brought back by Coach Emma Hayes, and that it's worked, and you have an opportunity to be at camps like that in the Futures Camp, and then make an impression and get the call up. Whether they'll play or not, it's not insignificant, but it doesn't matter for now because they're in the system, they're in the environment, and if Avery or Mandy get an opportunity to play in this next couple games, it'd be huge for them. And what a statement. The First Coast continues to make that we produce great women talent overall, but certainly on the women's side. It's a couple great names there.
And one thing that Becky Burley talked about, and we'll hear from her coming up on TV on Saturday, if you're listening to this before Saturday, and that is talking about Avery's soccer IQ, her mind for the game, how she sees the game, how quickly she responds and dissects. That is something that you have to have if you're going to play at the highest level on the number one ranked team on the globe for women's soccer. So going to be good to see if she can get some playing time against Brazil coming up. Speaking of TV, the Sporting JAX report comes to you at noon on Saturdays, most weekends, on NBC 12 before the Premier League. This week, we're a 12:30 start. Next week will be a Sunday on ABC 25 as we kind of work around the NBC sports schedule, but that's typically the thing. If you just set your DVR to record anytime the Sporting JAX report comes up, you won't miss it. You can also check it out on First Coast News Plus or on our YouTube channel for Sporting JAX. By the way, we streamed the announcement of Mark Warburton, as a little inside, and saw a real pop in subscribers for YouTube. So that's great.
Thank you.
To see.
Welcome, fam.
Yep. So those of you who maybe are tuning into the podcast on YouTube, which you can find it also on the other audio platforms where you find most of your favorite podcasts. But we love to see the growth, and it just continues to grow and grow. We'll have more announcements coming up of, again, we've talked about the things that are on the way. We've got to find a head coach and settle on that. You've got to we'll do the kit reveal. At some point, there'll be a stadium announcement and first signings and all these things. So we'll bring them to you across our digital platforms.
And those are massive ones. But like right now, if you subscribe to our Instagram, right, you follow us on Instagram, you see all these signings. We're doing international signings for the W team, for USL2. These teams are going to be really good. The matches are going to be free. There's ways to kind of get your thirst satiated with some high level soccer on the run up to all these massive things.
And as we get closer to those two seasons starting in May, we'll have more information for you on that. All the games at Mandarin High School, all the home games at Mandarin High School. Also, reminder, you can join us every Tuesday at 6 for the Sporting JAX Soccer Hour on 1010XL. This past week, we had Mark Warburton in for a full hour. If you want to listen to that on demand at 1010XL.com. Learned a lot about Mark, including that he's a big Springsteen fan. He's a dog guy. Yep. And that his favorite car he ever had was a Porsche Panamera.
Okay.
So we talked soccer too,
right.
But I wanted to get a little bit of the personal out of him as well after he's named as the head of soccer. And
I don't know if you guys got into this. He's excellent at golf. I really
we didn't talk much golf.
I get nervous playing golf with him because I'm not excellent. Mark is an absolute. He's scratch golfer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's embarrassing.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to get to that.
Anyway.
All right.
I digress.
That's all right. I also want to remind you, if you're not ready quite yet to pull the trigger on season tickets, the best thing to do for you is to become a member of Sporting JAX. It's absolutely free. You just go to sportingjax.com to sign up. You get discounts on Sporting JAX official club merchandise, invitations to exclusive insider events, automatic chances to win special prizes and experiences, and you receive the Sporting JAX email newsletter that helps keep you up to date with everything that's going on. Of course, we ask you to follow us on social media, subscribe on our YouTube channel, watch the TV show, listen to the. There's a lot of ways to stay connected with Sporting JAX, and this is a great way to do so, and also gain some discounts. All right, let's talk about FA Cup. This is always a great event. But, Mao, tomorrow, we're recording this on Friday, the 28th of March in the Gemstone Media Studios. Tomorrow morning, Fulham and Crystal Palace, a couple of clubs that would dearly love to put a trophy in the trophy case, will meet. What do you expect out of this one?
Yeah, and to be honest, Cole, I'm really hoping that someone outside of Man City or even Aston Villa win it, because I think would be a great story for some of these not small clubs. I mean, Fulham and Crystal Palace and Brighton, I mean, they're not small clubs, but they certainly don't hold the same history or recent history, at least, of championships. I think Fulham is a sneaky, really good team. I think they're someone that on a one-off, on a knockout kind of stage situation, they're very, very good. I don't think they have the legs and the depth of a roster to compete throughout the entire season of, how many of 36, 38 matches that they play in a season. But I think in a one-off, so these would be several one-offs, right? I think they're good enough to get to the final. So I'll be surprised if Fulham doesn't get through Crystal Palace here.
No, I agree with that. And in Fulham, it's basically what you said is they're kind of set up as a tournament team, right? It's over the course of a long season. It's going to be difficult for them to, really knock off some of those really top teams. But this is the kind of thing they get on a good run. The schedule favors them in the cup. So it could be a trophy.
Could be something, to be keeping an eye on. Also, then tomorrow, on Saturday rather, Brighton and Nottingham Forest. Of course, Forest is having a great season. Brighton contending to try to stay within reach of a spot for Europe. But again, if you can add a trophy, that's a successful season. Then the only team outside of the Premier League still alive, Preston North End, will play Aston Villa on Sunday morning, followed by Bournemouth and Man City. And Mao, we've talked a lot about Preston and what this would mean for them and how surprising it is that they're a mid-table championship team doing this. But sort of as Tony says about Fulham, Preston is taking advantage of this and clearly putting resources toward trying to make this their defining moment of the year.
Yeah, they really have. And, a couple weeks ago, I was kind of leaning towards they might be able to catch Aston Villa here, not focused on this, kind of more focused on the Champions League or Premier League. But I remiss to think that after an international break where players actually get a bit of a recovery, I think they're going to look at this game. I think they're going to be hungry. The Aston Villa players will be hungry for this game. I think they're going to be rested for this game and recovered. So, I think Preston North End are catching Aston Villa in a poor time. It's not in a mix of a bunch of different, fixtures. So I don't see Preston End surviving much longer than this phase, but certainly a great story. And if they do, I mean, it will be the story of the year that Preston North End bottom of the championship can get to a FA Cup final or a semifinal at least.
Interesting that you look at the table in the Premier League and the teams that are alive right now. You've got Forest, who's third, but Man City 5, Brighton 7, Fulham 8, Villa 9, Bournemouth 10. They're all lined up, basically, within 3 points of one another, 4 points of one another in the table. And these are the bulk of the teams from the Premier League that are still here competing. So, Mao, as we sit right now, and you can certainly change your answer as we get down the line, I want to get from both of you, which one of these clubs is going to lift the FA Cup at the end of the tournament?
I would say Nottingham Forest has the absolute best chance because they do have talent and they have depth, and they're the best team. They're the best formed team. So I would say that for them, it's going to be huge driving force to lift a trophy this year.
I'd actually really love to see that for them. I'm going to say City, mostly so Pep can keep his job. But I also think, sometimes the most predictable thing is the least exciting, and I think Man City winning this would be the least exciting thing.
I do too.
And sometimes that's like what happens. So I'm going to say that as a prediction. I would love, back to Preston, their team, there's a lot of guys on loan from really good teams that are like, you know what, you're great, but there's somebody starting ahead of you. We need you to play, and they're like succeeding. I think they're a bit of a dark horse. It's bad scheduling for them that they got to face it in form Villa. The Villa's new signings are just blowing it. Rashford's like a new man. It's just unbelievable. So I'm going to say Man City. I'm sorry, but I feel like it's going to be predictable.
All right. I think one of those two would be my pick as well. And there's a little bit of Man City fatigue, so I'll go with Forest as well. We'll see if they can survive the quarterfinals and move on.
Hopefully they both get knocked out, and we'll have something fun to talk about next week.
We're going to have something fun to talk about one way or another next week. There's no doubt about that.
True.
Things are continuing to progress with Sporting JAX. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Great to talk to you this week.
Can we? Sorry, this is my.
Tony's
going to interrupt.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now join Tony Allegretti to blow up the format once again.
I can ruin any meeting. So some good matchups in the Super League. We've got Brooklyn at home on Saturday night at 6. Tampa's going up to Brooklyn. This is a top of the table kind of clash. If you don't count Fort Lauderdale, who's playing unbelievable also. And then Carolina hosts Dallas this Saturday. I want everybody to be aware and be watching because they have Peacock. We know you have Peacock. You can't lie. And these matches are the teams we're going to play in a couple months. So please Super League me.
Yeah, and I will say as well, Dallas Trinity is really a fun team. Their midseason changes have been remarkable. Lexi Missimo from University of Texas has been a real force since she joined the squad. So should be some good soccer coming up this weekend in the USL Super League. All right, that'll do it for the Sporting Pod. We'll talk to you again next week. Be sure to share this with your soccer fan friends. Let's continue to grow that subscriber base.
Oh, wait, I have one more. Oh, my God. Cole hates me so much. Bat Sauce, who does our intro, has a new album out. It's all instrumental. He makes beats. He's an amazing guy from Jacksonville, from Duval. He's living in Puerto Vallarta right now, as one does. But anyway, check out Bat Sauce. I want to throw that out to our man.
All right, excellent.
Thank you. Sorry.
Anything else?
I'm done.
You sure?
Yep.
Positive?
Yep.
Mao, anything?
No. Tony took all the time.
Mao's a professional.
Yeah. Good job, Mao. All right, that'll do it for Tony Allegretti and Mauricio Ruiz. I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks so much for listening to The Sporting Pod.